5 signs you're loving too much and losing yourself. Loving someone should never mean losing yourself. That might sound obvious, but the truth is, many of us fall into the trap of loving so deeply that we begin to shrink in the process. We silence our needs to avoid conflict. We give without boundaries. We sacrifice our time, our peace, and our identity, hoping that loving hard enough will make the other person stay. But here's a question that cuts deep. Are you loving them or are you abandoning you? If you've ever found yourself emotionally drained, constantly over-explaining, or feeling like you're not enough no matter how much you give, this video is for you. Because love should feel like a home, not a battlefield. And the first home you must protect is the one within yourself. Stoic philosophy offers us timeless clarity in moments like these. Epictetus once said, "No man is free who is not master of himself." That quote isn't just about control, it's about emotional sovereignty, about knowing where you end and someone else begins. The Stoics taught that peace doesn't come from fixing or clinging to external things, including relationships, but from mastering our internal world. Your emotional well-being should never be dependent on how someone else treats you. If you give away your power in the name of love, you're not loving, you're losing. In this video, we're going to explore 5 powerful signs that you're loving too much and slowly erasing yourself in the process. These aren't just emotional red flags. They are signals that your soul is asking for balance, for boundaries, and for healing. We'll look at each one through the lens of Stoic wisdom, while also grounding it in real-life strategies for self-worth, emotional control, and reclaiming your identity. This isn't about being cold or distant, it's about being whole. You can love someone deeply without betraying yourself. You can be soft and strong. You can care and still have boundaries. Remember what Seneca said, "He who is brave is free," and it takes courage to walk away from the parts of love that cost you your peace. If you've been feeling like you've given everything and still feel empty, it's time to take a step back. Because the love you give yourself sets the standard for every relationship you'll ever have. And I promise, you don't have to lose yourself to be loved. The right person will meet you where you are, not demand that you lower yourself to be seen. So before we dive into the 5 signs, I want you to ground yourself in this truth. Say it out loud, feel it, and if it resonates, I want you to drop it in the comments and claim it like your life depends on it. I choose to love myself as deeply as I love others. Now let's begin. Number 1, you neglect your own needs. When you're constantly prioritizing someone else's needs over your own, it's a silent red flag that you're drifting away from your center. Love should never come at the cost of your identity. You were not put on this earth to be a background character in someone else's story. And yet so many of us make quiet sacrifices, one after another, until we wake up completely drained. Emotionally, mentally, spiritually. You start skipping your passions, brushing off your pain, saying it's fine when it's not. That isn't love. That's self-abandonment dressed as loyalty. The Stoics remind us that true power begins from within. Marcus Aurelius once said, "You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength." What does that mean in love? It means your needs matter, even when it feels uncomfortable to express them. It means taking up space in your own life and not waiting for permission to matter. Because when you neglect yourself, you slowly train others to do the same. You teach them that your boundaries are flexible, that your time is disposable, and that your silence is agreement. But your silence shouldn't be the price of peace. Self-worth doesn't grow in the shadows. It grows when you choose to speak up, even if your voice shakes. It grows when you say, "I matter too," without guilt or apology. So how do you take your power back? Start with reflection. Each day, ask yourself, what do I need right now? Not what your partner needs, not what your friends need. You. What do you need? Time alone? Rest? Honesty? Support? A break? Identify it. Own it. Next, set the boundary. Don't hint. Don't hope they figure it out. Communicate your limits with clarity and calm. That's not selfish. That's self-respect. If someone truly loves you, they will honor the space you create for yourself. And if they don't, that tells you everything. Remember what Epictetus taught. How long are you going to wait before you demand the best for yourself? That best starts with listening to your body, your spirit, your inner voice, not silencing it to keep the peace. And if this point struck something deep within you, it's time to affirm this truth. I want you to take a breath, type this in the comments, and let it sink in. My needs are valid, and I honor them. Let that affirmation become your compass. You can still be loving, giving, and empathetic while protecting your own energy. It's not either or, it's balance. And when you start choosing yourself, the right people won't be offended. They'll be proud. That's what healthy love looks like. Number 2, you compromise your values. One of the clearest signs you're losing yourself in love is when you start betraying your own principles just to keep someone close. You bend your boundaries, you silence your intuition, you do things that don't sit right in your soul, not because you believe in them, but because you're afraid to lose the relationship. That fear becomes the leash that drags you away from who you are. But here's the truth. If love demands that you betray yourself, it isn't love, it's manipulation disguised as connection. The Stoics never taught us to change who we are to fit the world. They taught us to stand tall in virtue, even when it's hard. Seneca once said, "Associate with people who are likely to improve you." That includes romantic partners. The people closest to you should challenge you to rise, not pressure you to fall. A relationship should be a reflection of mutual respect and shared integrity, not a test of how much you're willing to lose just to stay. Ask yourself, what values define you? Honesty, loyalty, kindness, faith, discipline. And now ask, does this relationship support those values or slowly erode them? When you compromise your morals, even in small ways, you chip away at your self-worth. You begin to live out of alignment, and that disconnection creates anxiety, confusion, and eventually resentment. You can feel the weight of it, that uneasy sense that you're not being true to yourself. That's your soul tapping you on the shoulder, whispering, "Come home." Real love won't ask you to leave yourself behind. It will meet you at your truth, but you have to be brave enough to speak it and strong enough to walk away from anyone who mocks or minimizes it. Because when you compromise your values for someone, you're not just losing the relationship, you're losing yourself in the process. The Stoic path teaches us that our highest loyalty is to our character. External things, people, relationships, even emotions, are fleeting. But character, that's forever. And if someone can't walk with you at the level of your values, let them walk alone. You're not here to dim your light to fit in someone else's comfort zone. You're here to live boldly in your truth. So I want you to make this promise to yourself right now. Say it out loud. Type it in the comments. Let it echo in your soul as a non-negotiable standard for how you move through love and life. I stay true to my values, even in love. Let that be your anchor, because when you honor your values, you attract people who respect them. And when you choose integrity over attachment, you don't just keep your peace, you reclaim your power. Number 3, you lose your identity. One of the most painful yet subtle ways we lose ourselves in love is when our entire identity starts to revolve around another person. Suddenly, their preferences become your choices. Their problems become your burden. Their world becomes your only world. And somewhere along the way, your passions, your dreams, your uniqueness slowly fade into the background. You stop recognizing yourself in the mirror, and you call it love, when really it's self-erasure. You were never meant to shrink to fit someone else's life. You were meant to expand within your own. Epictetus, a powerful voice in Stoic philosophy, reminds us, freedom is the only worthy goal in life, and freedom is achieved by controlling your own mind. What does that mean in the context of love? It means that your sense of self must remain yours, regardless of how deeply you love another. True love doesn't require you to sacrifice your identity. It asks you to share it boldly. When you abandon your individuality, you don't just weaken your relationship with yourself. You put unhealthy pressure on the relationship to define your happiness. That's not connection, that's codependency. The strongest relationships are made of two whole people who choose each other, not two half people trying to become one. And so, you must protect your sense of self like it's sacred. Because it is. You can love deeply without disappearing. You can show up for someone else without ghosting your own needs. How? First, reconnect with your own interests. Reignite what makes you, you. Whether it's painting, running, journaling, music, traveling, or building something from scratch. Do it for the joy it gives you, not for anyone else's approval. Second, maintain your own support system. Your friends, your family, your mentors. These people keep you grounded in who you are outside the relationship. Don't isolate yourself for the sake of love. That's not noble. That's dangerous. Stoicism teaches that what is truly ours, our thoughts, our actions, our character, is where peace lies. And when you remember who you are, no one else can define it for you. So if you've felt like your world has gotten smaller, like you've become a side character in your own life, I want you to pause and say this out loud, and then type it in the comments so it lives outside your mind. I am whole and complete on my own. Let that be your truth. Let it shape your choices. Let it remind you that real love doesn't erase who you are, it amplifies you. The more connected you are to your identity, the more powerful you become in love and in life. Reclaim that power, not someday, today. Number 4, you tolerate disrespect. One of the most dangerous signs that you're loving too much and losing yourself in the process is when you begin to tolerate disrespect under the illusion that it's love. Maybe it's subtle, constant criticism, dismissive tones, emotional neglect. Or maybe it's more direct, yelling, gaslighting, manipulation. But over time, you begin to normalize the very things that are breaking your spirit. You tell yourself it's just how they are, or worse, you start believing you deserve it. But let me say this clearly. Love without respect is not love. It's control, it's abuse, and it's not your burden to carry. Marcus Aurelius, the great Stoic emperor, once wrote, "The best revenge is to be unlike him who performed the injury." That means we don't stoop to disrespect, and we certainly don't absorb it. Instead, we rise with self-respect, emotional discipline, and unwavering standards. You don't heal by staying quiet. You heal by standing up, calmly, clearly, and confidently, and saying, "This is not okay with me." Stoicism doesn't teach us to endure abuse or be emotionless statues. It teaches us to respond with reason and virtue, and to walk away when virtue is no longer present. You deserve to be spoken to with kindness. You deserve to feel emotionally safe. You deserve to be heard and honored, not silenced or shamed. Assertive communication is your first line of strength. Don't lash out. Don't beg. Speak truthfully, without anger, but with conviction. Let your tone say, "I know my worth, and I won't allow you to forget it." And if the disrespect continues, seek guidance. Turn to a friend, a mentor, a therapist, someone who can help you see things clearly when your emotions are clouded. Sometimes love clouds our judgment. That's why we need community, clarity, and courage. Remember, what you allow is what will continue. You teach people how to treat you by the standards you uphold. And if someone refuses to rise to those standards, they are not your person, no matter how much you love them. Seneca once said, "You should live in such a way that there is nothing which you could not as easily tell your enemy as keep to yourself." In other words, live with honor, not shame. Choose respect over attachment. Choose peace over chaos. Choose you. If you're still here, still watching, still listening, this is your moment. This is your sign to stop explaining away disrespect and start reclaiming your dignity. I want you to burn this truth into your heart and type it in the comments with pride. I deserve respect and will accept nothing less. Let it be your mantra. Let it guide your choices. Let it remind you every single day that real love doesn't make you feel small. It makes you feel seen. And when you respect yourself enough to walk away from disrespect, you don't lose love. You make room for a better one. Number 5, you fear being alone. One of the deepest and most overlooked signs that you're loving too much and losing yourself is when you stay in a relationship not because it nourishes your soul, but because you're terrified of being alone. Let's be honest. Many people stay in situations that drain them simply because solitude feels scarier than the pain they've grown used to. But let me tell you something powerful. Being alone is not a weakness. It's a strength, a sanctuary, and a statement that says, I choose peace over pieces. Epictetus, one of the greatest minds of Stoic thought, declared, freedom is the only worthy goal in life. And what is freedom if not the courage to walk alone when something no longer serves your growth? Fear of being alone often stems from a lack of self-connection, a belief that our worth is tied to our relationship status, or that without someone by our side, we are incomplete. But that is a lie built by insecurity and social pressure. The truth is, solitude is where your power begins. When you're alone, you get to hear your own thoughts. You reconnect with your passions, rediscover your potential, and reignite the fire within you that you forgot you even had. You stop bending for love and start standing in your truth. That's not lonely, that's liberating. The Stoics teach that self-sufficiency is the foundation of a good life. When you are emotionally whole within yourself, no external relationship can shake your peace. That's the goal. Not to avoid loneliness, but to build a life so rich in purpose that you never feel alone even when no one else is around. If you're in a relationship and staying solely because the idea of starting over terrifies you, ask yourself this: am I choosing this love, or am I settling because I don't believe I can thrive on my own? The answer to that question will show you where your work begins. Start by embracing solitude. Spend time with yourself, not in avoidance, but with intention. Go on solo walks. Read books that expand your mind. Write about your emotions. Reconnect with the version of you that existed before the relationship. The version who had dreams, hobbies, confidence, and light. Then, build your self-confidence deliberately. Join a class. Learn a new skill. Practice speaking kindly to yourself. The more you pour into your own growth, the less you'll fear the quiet. The quiet will become your canvas. Your strength is not found in who stays. It's found in your ability to stand strong when no one else is holding you up. And if you've ever felt like being alone is the end, I want you to flip the script. Being alone is the beginning of knowing yourself deeply, loving yourself fiercely, and never settling again. I want you to tattoo this truth on your soul and type it in the comments below. I am comfortable and confident in my own company. That's not just an affirmation, it's a promise. A promise to never beg for crumbs when you were born to feast at your own table. You are not afraid of being alone. You are simply waiting to meet the strongest version of yourself. And trust me, they are worth the wait. Recognizing these signs is the first step toward reclaiming your sense of self. Remember, Stoic philosophy teaches us to focus on what we can control, our actions, thoughts, and choices. By setting boundaries, honoring your values, and embracing your individuality, you can cultivate healthier relationships and a stronger sense of self. Final affirmation to comment: I choose myself and honor my worth. If this video resonated with you, please like, share, and subscribe for more content on self-empowerment and Stoic wisdom.